Hi, my aging lovelies. It's Rachel, and this is for the love of aging. Welcome to my channel if you're new, and if you have been hanging out with me a little bit, welcome back. And today I wanted to touch on the topic of dementia. The last video I made, the short, I mentioned that I would be probably taking a look at dementia in a couple of episodes because it's such a huge topic, and to be able to do it in one video would just take too long. So I'm gonna break them down some. Today I was hoping to focus in on the different types of dementia because there are different types. Dementia basically is a medical diagnosis that encompasses all different subtypes. So looking at the umbrella of dementia, there are really five main types, and then of course under those different types of dementia there's a slew of different symptoms and such, but I'll give you kind of a baseline foundation of the different types of dementia, and I think that will probably be the best for this topic or this episode. So I'm going to start with the most common dementia, which is Alzheimer's. It is the most common dementia that is diagnosed, and it is an irreversible, downward progressive type of dementia. It tends to progress slowly but gradually, and what tends to happen is the person starts to lose their daily functioning skills. We call them either instrumental activities of daily living, IADLs, or activities of daily living, which is ADLs. Those are common terms that are used in the medical field. But basically what dementia is, whether it's Alzheimer's or the others that I would mention, is your brain atrophies. It starts to shrink, it starts to lose its matter, its function, everything. And that's a really sad illness, disease. It's not just difficult on the person, but definitely on families and loved ones, because they're watching their loved one wither away. What they've been able to do, they begin to lose those functionings, those functions and skills. So usually once someone or the person starts realizing that they are becoming forgetful of things, and it's not just losing your keys and 5-10 minutes later you find them. These are things that are starting to become very noticeable. Not able to write out a check or balance your money. Say that you've been handling your finances your whole life, and now you're starting to miss steps or not able to complete the task. Instrumental activities of daily living, cooking, driving, homemaking type skills, tasks of cleaning and taking your meds, those type of activities. And later on in the disease, not knowing how to brush your teeth, not knowing what to do with showering, dressing, grooming, things that have been daily tasks, you're just not able to finish through or sequence through each task. You start missing steps, things like that. And I wanted to kind of make a diagram of kind of how each of the dementias look like on a graph. So bear with me. I'm gonna write Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's. Try doing that, huh? Alzheimer's tends to really, in a graph, it's gradual. And there's stages of dementia, there's stages of all dementias. The stage 1 is usually the mild, and then we go down to moderate to severe. And Alzheimer's progresses gradually and slowly, really. And usually once you start remembering or starting to notice things that you're missing or forgetting, you've probably had this Alzheimer's or any other type of dementia for years prior. Usually when someone suspects it, you've already had it for a while. And diagnosing, I think, is really crucial. It's really time consuming and can be exhausting for the person, but it's good to get a formal diagnosis. And what they call that, you usually need a referral from your primary doctor for a neuropsychological evaluation. And it's pretty extensive, like I said, but it'll help distinguish what type of dementia the person may have. So it helps prepare the person and the caregivers and family how to better manage and handle and cope with the disease. So again, Alzheimer's, gradual, progressive, and irreversible, and you just start losing all abilities to the end, where, don't like to use the term, but you're almost like a shell. The outside is a shell. But just know that anyone with dementia, hearing is usually the last faculty, last sense that goes. So you still can talk to the person, talk to them, tell them all things, and just know that they're still there. They're still there. So Alzheimer's, there's another dementia called vascular dementia. This is usually from, say, someone has suffered a stroke, or just something that causes blood flow impairment, blood not getting to the brain, causing some type of damage. And the vascular dementia can affect your thinking skills, and of course memory, and I'm looking just so that I don't forget some of the things. Your judgment calls, they may become impaired, poor judgment calls. And with the vascular dementia, the progress is almost like, I'm gonna get my handy dandy, not notebook, but erase board. The vascular, oops, that's a really bad A. Sorry about that, folks. Well, you know what I mean. Vascular is like taking steps, like stairs. So dementia, vascular, you could be on a plateau for a bit, and then boom, sudden downward spiral, kind of, and then you might flat out again, plateau, and then boom, another pretty significant decline that goes on with the vascular dementias. And they are usually quite noticeable and sudden. And just like all the dementias, there's different stages and such. So these, could be stages. Like this could be more of a mild, moderate, and then severe. And again, these tend to cloud and impair your thinking skills. Executive functioning is another term that's used. Basically just not being able to carry out your daily tasks that you've known for your whole life. And you're just not able to do those things any longer. They start becoming much more difficult. The third type of dementia is what our dear Robin Williams, the celebrity, had, and that is Lewy bodies dementia. Nope. Lewy bodies. Lewy bodies is a very fluctuating dementia. I almost just want to do that. There are moments of lucidity and they're doing okay. And then boom, they're not doing okay. And by that I mean there tends to be hallucinations with Lewy bodies, severe dreams, acting out dreams, and sometimes a person will notice that it's a hallucination when it starts to get more, when it begins to progress more and decline. They tend to not notice that it's hallucinations and that it's real. Something that I'm not sure if they've set this in stone with Lewy bodies, but they tend to have hallucinations with animals. And I can attest to this personally. My grandpa, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's, but boy, and there is some similarities, and they tend to almost run parallel to each other with Parkinson's and Parkinsonism and Lewy bodies. So they diagnosed him with the Parkinson's, but I swear he had Lewy bodies, but I can't diagnose. But he had hallucinations of particularly a dog. And when it was not so severe, when it was in the early stages, I remember I was at their house, my grandma and grandpa's house, and he was telling me that he saw a dog in their house and he wasn't sure if that dog was real or not. So he grabbed a hot dog or something out of the fridge and set it on the ground to see if that dog would come and eat it. And sure enough, there was no dog. So he knew that he was seeing things. As it progressed, there was no distinction, no way of knowing that if something was there or not. So those are some of the symptoms that occur with Lewy bodies that is just very up and down. I want to make sure that I don't miss anything with that. It's hard on the caregiver, particularly with Lewy bodies. It's pretty quick, it's rapid, and also because it's kind of unpredictable, caregivers really need to be flexible in their care with the person, and just you need a lot of support that comes with dementia, period. Caregivers need tremendous amount of support just for burnout purposes and stress and coping with not just seeing your person, you're watching your loved one just die from this horrible disease and losing the person, in essence. And, you know, along with, I didn't mention it, with the Alzheimer's and such, starting to forget loved ones, starting to forget familiar faces. I think that's tends to be more in the late stages of dementia. Not remembering family members, getting family members confused. You know, your daughter, you know, your loved one and your daughter, and they're talking to you like you're their wife, or, you know, an aunt or something like that. It's so hard on the family. And also with Alzheimer's, and, you know, when it just hits the late stages, you know, the communication is disappearing. They're not able to communicate verbally, but there's so much communication that can happen non-verbally. You just really start to learn how to read faces. Body language is huge to learn. If someone is in pain, that's a lot of times furrowed brows, just antsy. You know, you really need to become an investigator, a detective, and trying to figure out what could be causing anxiety or agitation with the person in the late stages of dementia, when their loss of communication, verbal communication, is gone. You really need to learn body language and non-verbal cues. I kind of went off on a tangent on that, but that's a big one. That can also be incredibly frustrating for the caregiver, but very much so for the person too, because we don't know. They may know what they want still in their head, or want to express something, and they can't. So the fourth one is called frontotemporal dementia. And the reason why it's called that is because that's in the lobes of your brain. The frontal and temporal is where it's affected, and where it becomes damaged. And this one is not so common, but it happens early onset. Someone that could be in their 40s and 50s could start showing symptoms of this. And it tends to affect behavior and mood. And I had a couple that were together, and I know that the one was diagnosed with the frontotemporal. I don't know about their partner, but they were together for a long time, and they both got diagnosed around the same time with dementia, and they were young, and it was really heartbreaking. They were trying to see if it was environmental. I think that was ruled out. So the cause of this type of dementia, I'm not quite familiar with, but it is pretty rapid, and their behaviors become inappropriate, personalities change, paranoia, loss of language too is another one, just not being able to, the word finding's gone, they replace it with gibberish type, just trying to fill in the blanks. And again, this tends to go across the different type of dementias. This is becoming a very long video. I'm sorry, guys. I'm going to wrap this up real quick. The last one is called delirium, and this is an acute onset type of dementia, and it's usually a medical reason, a cause, underlying cause, like a urinary tract infection, that can cause a sudden change in behavior, in their thinking, and behaviors and actions, and that you can go to the hospital, get antibiotics, or get treated for that, and that is generally reversible after being treated. And I think I'm going to stop there, and I will, the next episode that I'd like to start on, talk about would be, so you have, these conditions, these diseases, how can you manage them as a caregiver, intervene when maybe some difficult behaviors pop up, how do you redirect those situations, how to prevent the frustration and stress of the caregiver, as well as the person. You don't want them feeling anxious, or frustrated either. So I think that is what I'm going to touch on in the next video. Thank you for bearing with me. I just realized how many minutes have gone by. It's just a huge topic. I hope this was helpful some to you. I can put down in the comments area links to different various website resources of the where it can go into even more detail of these different dementias. And until then, I hope you have a beautiful day and you all take care of yourselves. Okay, bye.